Welcome back to Up the Villa podcast. If you are new to our channel, subscribe, drop this video a like, and like you always do, get involved in the comment section down below. So the game is getting a little bit closer. I'm starting to get really excited for the game now as well. All of you that enjoyed our match preview with me and Justin, thank you very much. It went down very well. But here is our predicted lineup. So what we're going to do on this episode, we're going to take an in-depth look at Spurs, what we've got to look out for in this game. We'll talk about their style of play, and then we'll turn our attention to Aston Villa and the lineup that we predict to take on Spurs on Sunday. So hopefully we can all agree on it. And you can do your teams at home on our website. And you can also share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Ryan, you weren't on the match preview, so I'll get your thoughts now. How are you feeling ahead of Aston Villa, Emery taking on Ange?
It has got that feel that it could be manager versus manager, doesn't it? It's going to be a good tactical battle. And there's a lot to like about Spurs. I've enjoyed them. The gushing and drooling of the media has slightly put me off. A bit cringy, a bit too early. But it's been a great start. It has been a great start. I mean, look, they finished 8th last season. They lost Harry Kane. And they went the first 10 games unbeaten. So what is not to like? Tactically, between Villa and Tottenham, I see quite a bit of similarities. Not like shape or positional wise, more so like disrupting opposition shapes, manipulating teams, forcing teams to in Tottenham's case, to play narrow, and then they're trying to pop off on the wings and in the half spaces. Similarities like that, how they draw you in and make you attack without you even realising it. And that's where I draw parallels with Emery. They've also recruited well, and like Villa, Postecoglou is playing players in a system and players that suit a system, and he's recruiting players that suits his system. So again, very much similar to what Emery's doing. And they've caught a few teams out, haven't they, Tottenham, to go the first 10 games unbeaten. There was a bit of an unknown, but Emery's now got 12 games in the bag to analyse them. He's had 14-day international break. So we seen him yesterday, didn't we? The training pictures of him on his clipboard. And like my little nickname for him is like the architect. That's what I look, because designing, planning. But I'm thinking of changing it. I think I might start calling him Chef Unai, because he's looking at that clipboard and he's just cooking something up, isn't he? So for us, I think I want to see us rock up there with like an air of ruthlessness. I want to see us assert ourselves. I don't want to see us buying into Tottenham's game plan. I don't want to see us engaging too much and getting suckered in. I want to maybe just chill and let the game settle, and then us try and dictate. I think this game suits us more than our last away game at Forest. I think this one's better for us. I think it'd be more open, and I think we can exploit them. I think we can exploit their weaknesses, and Tottenham's recent lack of discipline and they're coupled with their injuries. I think that's advantage Aston Villa. And then you've got the incentive then to be in the top 4 come the final whistle. So all to play for, big, massive game. This is what we're here for, and I can't wait.
Yeah, and you make a great point, really, about how I imagine Unai looks at things and how we sort of get the best out of Unai Emery. And we all know in football that it's very, very difficult to play against a team that sits with a mid to a low block. They sit with that low block. They defend for their lives depend on it. There can be heroic tackles. There could be heroic clearances. There's amazing blocks. And Emery can't do anything about that, because that's how an opposition team is just throwing their bodies on the line. Yes, we can look to try and manipulate the way we play or do certain things, but sometimes you just cannot get through. And I think every team sees that. But where we see the best out of Unai is when that team that we're up against has a style of play and a way they want to play. How can we pick apart what they're trying to do. And what my general point is, if a team's just sitting there defending, what's the plan? It's just to defend, innit? Whereas Spurs, your likes of Arsenal, City, those type of teams, Liverpool, they will have their style, and it's how we can pick that apart. And I think what you're saying is absolutely spot on. Justin, as the game edges a bit closer, are you getting more excited?
Yeah, I am. I can't wait. I said the other day, it's the first visit to the new Spurs stadium, so that's filling me with excitement seeing that. But I'm just excited to see how this game plays out, really, because, I mean, we spoke about it on the match preview, and we're going to go into a bit more detail tonight. But every single angle you look at this game, it's just got, it's just exciting, isn't it? The matchups on the pitch, the fact they're going into it a little bit undercooked with a few players missing gives us that little bit of hope. And, the way Emery prepares for these games, those meetings, I know we've said it before, we would love to sit in them meetings. I'd just love to be a fly on the wall and listen to him, because there's no stone unturned. Is that he literally covers every single blade of grass on the pitch where he wants people to be. And I think the players come out of their meetings just think, we can't lose this game. We just can't lose it, because he's highlighted all of the weaknesses for the opposition. All we've got to do is carry out that plan and we'll win the game. And that's the genius of Unai Emery, isn't it? Giving the players so much belief and confidence in that whatever they're told to go and do, that it's going to give us a result. And more often than not this season, that's how it's played out. So Sunday's going to be really, really interesting. Another really fascinating game to watch. I'm glad I'm going to be seeing it live, because I think it does give you a slight different, way of bigger vision of the pitch, doesn't it? And the way people are playing, and all the things we're going to talk about tonight, I'll be watching with real interest to see how they all play out on the day.
Right, let's get stuck into it then, and let's have a look at Spurs' style of play. Now, there's one caveat to note here, and it is whatever they were doing good before, it's going to look slightly different here, because there are massive injuries and suspensions to this team, which is sort of going to hinder them somewhat in the way in which they go about playing. So last season, they were a 3-4-2-1. Their width was coming through the wing-backs, the full-backs. But what was happening last season was those full-backs were getting pinned back quite a lot, and they were meant to be offering the width, and they couldn't offer the width. Teams were getting a lot of possession against Spurs, which meant that their system broke down quite a lot. So this season, Postecoglou has changed their shape to a 4-2-3-1. And they've got a double pivot. They did have a double pivot of Sarr and Basuma. Basuma has been absolutely instrumental to Spurs, not only in a double pivot, but breaking through and stepping out and being quite aggressive. But where last season the width came from the fullbacks, the width now is coming from the wingers. So in essence, they've got wingers such as Johnson, Kulusevski, Richarlison's played there as well, and they are leading the line with Heung-min Son. So their system, when they are in possession, is shifting to inverted fullbacks. We've seen inverted fullbacks with Man City, where if there's just one in a single pivot, you will see this player go into there and potentially make up a double pivot. But that's not what Spurs are all about. Spurs are completely changing the way we look at players being inverted. Pedro Porro is going into central midfield. Adoji is going into central midfield. Spurs build-up play is a 2-2-3-3. What they want you to do is to be enticed into that area, press Eric Dyer and press Ben Davies. It would have been Van der Ven, it would be Romero, but now they're having to set up with Dyer and Davies, and they're all about getting these balls into these areas and boom, hitting it into those areas. That's what Spurs want you to do. They want you to be sucked in to those 4 players, Sarr, Bentancur. I've put Bentancur in because I think he's going to come in for Basuma, Dyer and Davis. And then boom, they want their space. They want you to be suckered in to that area there so that space is in this overload here. They're all about creating overloads from that central area. The central area is very narrow, very congested, but the space comes with Johnson. It'll come from Kuleveski, and it'll come from Adoji and those areas as well. So they're all about creating overloads in that sort of wide and central areas through there. Also, their press. So with opponent teams pressing Spurs, what Liverpool did is they used their Gegen press. They really pressed them in numbers and sort of went for more of a man-for-man feel. So the man-for-man feel would look something similar to this. So you'd have Tielemans. I'm using Villa as an example here. But then what they would do is when they were heavily pressed, you can have players like Maddison or Højbjerg coming into that area as well. Sarr can move into that area as well. And that's what we saw when they played Liverpool. So if it went for a 2-man press, then what we saw in that game was Sarr moved over to that right-hand side, and it was Maddison that dropped into that double pivot. With Maddison dropping into that double pivot, he's then able to spray balls into those areas as well. So depending on how teams press, they can alternate their shape and they can alternate that double pivot as well. By having the fullbacks that are inverting for Tottenham Hotspur as well, it's enabling them to have their space of where they really want to hurt teams is in these areas here. That area there and that area there, that's where they want to do the damage. So if they have bypassed a press, so if they have bypassed Aston Villa's press, so we've pressed and we've lost out on the ball, we've not really been able to engage too much, then this is the ball that they are going to want to look for. They're going to want to look for this ball going into this area here. So where Johnson and Adoji are, that's where they're looking to get players that can pick up the ball there, that can get players into balls into Johnson. Johnson can go against fullbacks and get the ball into Son as well. With Maddison, we was also seeing a little bit of rotation as well. So they were rotating between Maddison and Son, and that was something that was being picked up on as well. The building out from the back as well with Dyer and Vicario. Vicario's played really well this season as well. So I think it's all about how Aston Villa deal with this central area, because for me, this area on Sunday is the area that if we can cope with this and get the upper hand and have a tactical plan for this area and stop the ball going into these players in transition, then Aston Villa are going to get a lot of joy. So that's my take on Spurs. Ryan, I know you have been chatting to us in the chat as well. You know quite a lot about Spurs as well. So do you want to add anything that I've said or anything that I've missed out on?
No, I think the point where you highlighted the game could be won or lost, I fully agree with you there. I like Tottenham's system, but I do think it can be got at. And I think it's early doors for their evolution, isn't it? They've got a good base of 11 players, 11, 12 players in that squad. Now, when they're building out at the back there, they normally got Van der Ven and Christian Romero. But Eric Dyer and Davis, not filling you with great confidence. Basuma, like you said, he's been the Brighton Basuma, the one that went for all the money, the one that everyone was after. He's finally arrived, and his calmness on the ball, his bravery on the ball in them positions. You know, we see Kamara and Luiz in them positions under pressure every week, dealing with it. Now, you're asking somebody else to come in and do that big job. So that trio there from the build is severely weakened and hampered, I think. And like you say, if we can get that and get in control of them, then I think that will be where the game is won. I think it's a key midfield battle. I think we've got to regain possession quickly, not let them. They are possession based and they do want to be in control of that football. So we've got to disrupt that. And like you say, we've got to be mindful of those two inverted fullbacks. It's a completely different inverted fullback from what we've seen before. Like we've seen Pep do it, but his inverted fullbacks sort of move up into like a double pivot, don't they? Where these will go past your double pivot and they're joining for a 5-man attack. So they are dangerous on the counter, but when you're throwing that many bodies forward, then there's opportunities, isn't there? And for us, we can mix our styles up. You know, we're not committed to one sort of style. We're not committed to being possession based. We're happy to mix it up. We're happy to go 30% possession for a game and hit you on the counter and win that football match. So we're all about winning games, and whatever style we do it or however we go about it, there's a plan in there for it. So it's like Justin says, it's going to be a fascinating watch all over. You're going to see different little battles, and the only thing that I might think with those weaknesses that we've picked up on and their personalities, do they mix it up a bit? Do they go, well, you know what, Villa are coming to town, they're going to be honest, they're going to be this? Does he stick to his philosophy or does he mix it up a bit? So that remains to be seen.
Justin said that yesterday on the match preview. Does he
Great
change it
Great
up a little
mind.
bit? So let's have a look.
You've just called me out for not catching up on the match preview yet.
Oh, just before you go on, sorry, look, just before you go on to that, I will say that the way they play, it's a high risk, high reward way of playing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they are overcommitting their fullbacks, because they are leaving the back two almost isolated. It's such a risky strategy, and against lesser teams, it's worked really, really well. I know they've had a couple of nightmare, weird games, and they've had a couple of players sent off. The Liverpool game was a very strange game, wasn't it? And the Chelsea game was as well. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see. And I've just wrote down here while you was talking, the first 20 minutes, echoing what Ryan said and what I said last night, we're going to know within 20 minutes if they are going to persevere with this system or whether they are going to tweak it because of who we are. And I think we do. We should now really go anywhere, and we should be very, very highly respected because, you know, we are a big threat to anyone. So that first 20 minutes, I'm going to have my eyes peeled onto the two fullbacks just to see just how brave he is. And as we picked up on the other day, when they did go down to 9, and you picked up on, you know, how they were overcommitting with 9 men, maybe he will stick to his guns and go for it.
The one key component also in that tactical setup is James Maddison. He plays a massive role. He plays a massive role in that shape.
Huge miss.
Yeah, he's that link, isn't he? Like you say,
they haven't got another player, have they, like
that? No, and he offers
not
that.
A like for like,
he offers that goal threat. His goal contributions are very, very high already this season. So that's another.
He's almost been like
weakening.
Like the glue that stuck them together this season, hasn't he? You know, the Kane left, and they're just basically. Son was almost picking up that role last season, wasn't he? Sitting off in the 10, or even Kane wasn't he? As he likes to drop deep, and then Son was just dropping onto the front to play the front role, and they was interchanging. But now that Maddison's arrived, he's just sat off, and Son's been able to really have a go up top. But yeah, really good. Great presentation, Luke. I thought I was watching Monday Night Football with Carragher and Neville for a.
Oh, it was better than that, mate. Come on.
Oh,
cheers,
much better. Yeah.
We're talking about a team not in the top 6. You know what I mean? Or
just why them lines. That's why them lines were just pinging on the screen. I was thinking, I'm just going to sit here and watch this all night.
Right, so let's have a look at the Villa lineup, and we're going to predict what we think the Villa lineup's going to be, and then we'll probably go back and have a look at certain players up against. Certain players in that Spurs lineup, and we get a bigger sort of picture. So yeah, it's down to us three to decide this lineup. Then last time, I think we all tried to have a go. We couldn't agree on it, and that was for Forest, I think. So I'm going to let Ryan pick the back four. I think it's obvious Martinez plays. So Ryan, you go back four. Then Justin, you can go midfield. So. I think this will be quite telling as well. So, Ryan, what are you going with?
Well, after our discussions for the Nottingham Forest, you know I was edging towards that sort of back three. But I'm going to stick with what Emery's been doing this season and
Mhm.
just keep with the same back four as we had in the last game. So it will be Luca Dean left back, Pau Torres, Ezri Konza, and Matty Cash.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I would go with as well. I think that's going to be. I kind of like Cash up against Johnson and Adoji as well. I think he's kind of got the pace, and I think he could potentially deal with both of those as well. So I think I would 100% agree with that back four. So
Yeah.
Justin,
Plus
what
the
you going
fullbacks
with?
as well. They can get in behind, can't they? So
Yeah.
it's already, them players are already thinking, oh God, I can't push too far on because these two will get in behind, especially on that right hand side. Whoever plays in that wing position as well, you've got a double up pairing sort of situation there.
Mhm.
So I think with them two getting forward, then causes problems and creates nervousness.
It does indeed. Justin, what's your midfield going to be then?
Yeah, I also think on the left back, I think with the game that Moreno will see his comeback this weekend as well. I think he'll come off the bench and play a good role. Yes, pretty straightforward. I think really. I think that the two double pivots pick themselves, don't they? Kamara and Louise. I think that's a give me, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's a
And then
well-oiled machine, mate.
it is.
Absolutely
It is.
brilliant.
I mean, I like we rotating the cup games, gives them rest, doesn't it? But Premier League is the bread and butter, and these two are arguably two of the best in the league, really, at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I also think the two in front of them pick themselves as well. I think McGinn obviously plays captain, has had a fantastic season up to now, and he's relishing that role a little bit further forward. And the way that Tielemans has slotted in, another one that is just such a versatile player to have, isn't he? And I know I wouldn't say struggled early in the season. He just didn't get much game time, did he? Because of the form of other players. But now he's been given that start, and I think he's relishing it. And I think he picks himself at the moment. Nothing against Zaniolo or Bailey or anybody else that can pick that play in that role. But I think Tielemans he's such a good footballer, and we're starting now to see the best of him, aren't we? His passing range, his ability on the ball, the way he makes space for himself. He can sit in if Louise or Kamara goes past him, exactly the same as McGinn can. It's such like I'll say again, versatile four, really, not just one. All four of them can interchange, can't they? The only one really that probably sits more than the others is Kamara, but he sits into that back four to allow the fullbacks to get forward. But it's a really, really good midfield, isn't it? Tielemans, McGinn, Louise, Kamara. 4 or 5 years ago, if you'd have said that was our midfield, you'd say, wow, we're doing all right there, aren't we? So it just looks, when you look at a team on paper like that there, you just think, that's a bloody good midfield, that is. There just isn't a weakness, is there? If they're all
Not really.
if they're all 7 or above on Sunday, we win the game, I think. And they're generally every week a 7 or 8 minimum, aren't they, all of them? So it's a joy to behold.
Especially if they want to play narrow, if they want to suck us into that hole, into that centre midfield.
The flexibility thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Look at what you've got there. McGinn's tenacious. Yeah. Tielemans, like his pressing was brilliant the other day. Really good. Showed good turn of pace as well. So there'll be a hell of a lot of pressure on Tottenham if they want to go down that route, because these boys will be on them.
Do you know what the word is for me? The key word for our midfield, the intelligence factor of them all. They've got high football intelligence. Their footballing IQ is such a high level. So for a manager, there must be a manager's dream, and a manager like Emery who relies on that, on the fine details to get into them, for them to be able to take it all in. It's just, I love it.
It's very cultured. Very cultured now as well.
We're very lucky, aren't we? We're very, very lucky.
I think we've literally picked that team and all agreed on it quite easy. So I don't know why that last one we had an absolute mare with when we couldn't pick it. But right, so let's just go back to this then. Let's have a look on this tactical pad of the actual team then. But one thing that you've just said, Justin, did you use the word intelligent? Was that the word that you
Yes.
used?
Football
So you
United,
used the word so you used the word intelligent. So as you can see on this graphic now, if Tielemans was by Porro, Watkins, Diaby, McGinn, Kamara, and Luiz, you can see that there will be a spare man floating around. But when you use the word intelligent, the first thing I thought of was John McGinn, and I thought of Tielemans, and I obviously thought of Luiz as well. But the point that I'm trying to make is it's about them following the plan and being intelligent, but what also that they both can do, and what we've started to see, especially from Tielemans on international duty and with Villa as well, is they can cover a lot of ground. Like John McGinn can cover so much ground there. So if he has to sort of be in that space there to sort of cover off, I don't know, Bentancur or get to buy a Højbjerg, he can cover that ground so quickly. And I think that's one trait that we've got going for us in this game as well, is midfielders that cover ground. And I think sometimes that can get overlooked as well. So, you know, in this system, it's all about Villa doing things really well. It's about, you know, Watkins cutting off passing lanes. So with both of these players cutting off passing lanes to stop them from getting the balls into the areas that they want to do as well. So I really think, for me, if I'm thinking about this game, it's about intelligent pressing. And that's the one thing that I want to pick up on. But, you know, like we say, like if you're saying that Adoji is going to go forward, Porro is going to go forward, there's plenty of space for us to exploit, whether it's Diaby, whether it's Watkins. Maybe if they are attacking us and they've overcommitted somewhat, you know, there's space for us to run into. You know, they are going to play with a high line. You know, that high line sits, you know, around that sort of area. So, you know, if that line is really high, then, you know, we can break and go into those areas. So I think it's going to be like a real big tactical battle, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to. And there's a player in my head that I think is going to be the game changer, and he's a player that's not in the starting lineup, and it's going to be Leon Bailey. I think he's the man that can come on and potentially do serious damage in this game. So, yeah, looking forward to it. And
I think just going back to that, just put that graphic back up again. Can you
it's
get
all
it?
over the show at the minute.
I know, yeah. Put them roughly back to where they were at the start, like Tielemans on the left and then McGinn on the right.
Hold on, then let me.
I think
get
a key. Yeah, go on. I'll talk while you're doing it. A key for me is if they do stick to their sort of MO and they do push Porro and Ugodi is it in, then I think what we might see is either McGinn or Tielemans, maybe even staying a bit higher up the pitch. So if the ball's out on the right, you might see McGinn tucking in to help out Luiz and Kamara with, say, a Højbjerg, like you just said. He might find himself in a little bit of space. But what we might see is a Tielemans then staying a bit further forward and making almost a front three, because then you've got there, like you've exactly there, you've got that all that area there for him to play. And all of a sudden, Eric Dyer's got a problem there, isn't he? Sarr's got a problem. Because as much as they're trying to attack us, what do they do? Do they think, does he have a look over his shoulder and think, Christ, Porro's gone past me here, but Tielemans hasn't gone with him because we've got cover here? Because if Luiz goes over to Porro, Kamara goes over to Højbjerg, and McGinn uses his intelligence and sits in, then we're almost matched, you know, like for like in the midfield. So we have, all of a sudden, there's no overload, is there? They haven't got a man over. And all of a sudden, they've got Tielemans with space. And then you got a 2-on-1 with Dyer, with Watkins and Tielemans. And conversely, it can go the other way. Tielemans can sit in with Luiz and Kamara, and McGinn could just sit further forward, which almost stops their fullbacks from going forward, doesn't it? So there's so many ways to try and do it, which I think comes back to our initial point is, do Spurs, and this is the biggest question I think on Sunday, do they stick to this way of playing, or do they tweak it for us because they're worried about us?
I think it's going to be who's most committed there. I see four positions there. I see our two fullbacks and their two fullbacks, and it's like who's going to commit? Is Luka D going to go ahead and go and put pressure on and leave the space in behind? You know, who's going to be the bravest? I think But I think,
But the
yeah, like
difference
you
with
say,
us
when
and
then
them,
fullbacks move up,
sorry, Ron.
there is space to counter them with McGinn and Tillemans, and the presence of Watkins and Diaby is going to be frightening.
Massive. The difference between the way we play and the way they play is when we commit one of our fullbacks forward, then you naturally get Kamara sitting in to make up the numbers at the back. They don't do that, do they? They commit the fullbacks and leave two at the back, and it's
My
almost suicidal, isn't it?
personal feeling is, I don't think we'll commit our fullbacks as much as what we've seen.
No.
I think they will stay semi in our own half. With Luiz and Kamara giving it a bit more of a midfield and let the front four hurt.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I said. The Tielemans and the McGinn could really be, if they do overcommit, they're the two either side that can really cause damage.
And like Luke says,
Bailey
can come on and get
off the bench. Yeah.
Bailey will get the third and the fourth. Maybe the fifth.
That's it then. We've won the game. See you later.
I mean, the big thing for Spurs is, can they keep functioning how they want to keep functioning with the players that they've got?
No.
And that's the question mark. You know,
they can't, can they?
He's asking a lot of some of these players, especially on the defending side of things. And I think that's probably going to be where they fall short in this game, because we're going to win.
Yeah, but that comes down to quality of squad then, what we've talked about where do we go? How do we improve? Our first 11 is quality, and we've got a handful of players off the bench. Once everybody's fully fit, we'll have quite a few players that actually are like for like. Spurs don't seem to have that at the moment. They've got a good first 11, but they're 3 or 4 players missing in key areas, and they haven't got the quality of player to come in. So that's when, like you say, does a manager have to change his way of playing to sort of feed those players in, doesn't it? It's so interesting.
Yeah, it feels like they're a transfer window, or maybe 2 transfer windows behind us in our evolution compared to theirs. You know,
which shows how quickly
they're only 12 games into their new management and their new philosophy, and giving them an identity. For years, Tottenham, they just haven't had an identity, have they? And now they have. But yeah, it does feel like we are better positioned at this moment in time.
Yes, right. So finally, go on.
I was just going to say, I think we're quickly getting to the point when I think Unai will have to just have a break soon, just play these videos to the lads.
Be able to chill, mate. Be on the sunbed with his missus again.
Have a break, lads. Just watch that, and then you'll know what to do suddenly.
That's what I mean. When he was watching Milwaukee, he had his feet up because he knew we'd be cracking on.
We've got you covered. Unai.
Right, so on our YouTube community page, I asked the Villa fans that watch us, 3 words on how you are feeling about this game. Now, some followed the brief, some didn't. So, unfortunately, the ones that didn't follow the brief, I'm not going to read them out. So, we're going to run through a few, and we'll see what we've got then. So, we've got let's do this, ruthless, smash 'em, maintain the momentum. We've got please don't lose. We've got okay. No, look at this one here. So Lee Robbins has put perfect time to play them all in one word.
He's got creative there, isn't he?
Yeah.
So technically, it kind of is a word, but it's not a word. Confident and excited, buzzing. Trusting Unai, bring it on. Still early days, must not lose. We'll overtake you. Let's win away. Please score first. To the top. 3 points incoming. Another 3 points. Gonna smash them. Let's have a look at some more. Tough playing away. Show you belong. Glad Madison's out in the back. 3 points, please. Easy 3 points. Destroy those reserves. McGinn butt roll. 2-1 Villa. 2-0 Villa. Spurs are overrated. And still early days, and Villa 3-0. So thank you, everyone who has shared your thoughts and made us laugh on this episode anyway. So cheers for that. So next up, we are going to have on the channel the opposition preview, which you guys at home seem to be really enjoying. They've gone down really well this season. A lot of you are sort of liking that. I'm just thinking about the last one when his light kept going off. Oh my God. He was a lovely guy, but his lights kept going off, and I was like, "What's going on, man?"
Poltergeist.
So that was the last one. So so we've got the opposition preview, we'll have the press conference, we'll have the score predictions, and then we'll have content on Sunday of our reaction to the game as well. So Ryan, we didn't get your score prediction yesterday. Justin showing off his top with the new sponsor on as well that he's had done. Do you want to give it a plug, Justin? Who's done that for you?
Yeah, Super TK. There's the man to go to for all your printing needs. No, he's done a good job, to fair. It's really nice. Really nice. I can hold it up straight. Yeah.
Looks very good.
Yeah.
Very nice indeed. Well done, TK. And Ryan, score prediction then.
Oh, I'm going to be a bit wild this week. I'm going to go Tottenham 2, Aston Villa 4.
Oh,
I remember one of them years ago, wasn't that a Dion Dublin hat-trick that happened? 4-2.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? Did Alan Wright score as well?
Alan Wright scorcher.
Yeah,
top corner.
Yeah, it was. We had a 4-4 there as well, wasn't it? Was it 4-0 up or 4-1 up?
Gareth Barry, wasn't it? That year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was their birthday, wasn't it? It was all singing happy birthday to him, and then they come back. That was Gareth Bale, wasn't it? Was it Gareth Bale? But yeah, I don't know. I feel goals, man. I can feel goals. So
I think there's definitely going to be goals in this. I mean, Spurs don't set up to play, not to score goals, do they? So
no.
I think that you are right. I think there are going to be a lot of goals in this. So thanks everyone who's watched. If you are new and you haven't subscribed, it helps us out massively if you do. If you haven't got a Google account, make one, subscribe, and then you can comment, you can get involved. I've started to try and involve the community tab a little bit more on some of the episodes. So, it's a reason to subscribe, and I'll mention your comments on there. So, cheers everybody. Up the Villa.
Up that Villa.